What's up, guys? This is Andre, and I love Skyrim. I have been playing this game for the past 2 or 3 months, maybe even 4 months now, and this game has really changed the way I think about life. Believe it or not, I always take a lot of meaning out of games. Any game that I play, especially if I play it a lot, I try to sort of adopt principles that make you successful in the game and try to apply them to real life. And the first one that I want to talk about in Skyrim is like the skill tree. The skill tree in Skyrim. I'm not playing the game right now. I'm kind of watching a video of when I was playing a couple months ago. But the skill tree in Skyrim is not like Japanese RPGs. I grew up with JRPGs like Pokemon and Final Fantasy, but in Skyrim, it's really based on the actions that you take, how much time you spend using that actual skill. So in Skyrim, if you want to spec in one-handed swords, as opposed to magic or two-handed swords, you want to use one-handed swords, and you only level up in the one-handed sword. Like the stats in your other skills don't get better. In a Japanese RPG, I guess the idea is that your character is generally gaining experience, and so when they level up, all their stats go up. Their speed goes up, their strength goes up, their intelligence or whatever. All of it goes up at the same time. In Skyrim, you only spec into what you want. If you level up, you get a little bit of stamina, but you have to choose. You have to choose between magic, stamina, or health. And then when you level up a skill, you have to choose the thing that makes that skill better. So if I use one-handed swords, when I level up, I can choose to put a point in one-handed swords. I can put another point in there. And what the really cool thing about Skyrim is that each skill has perks that you can spec in. For example, if you want to point in one-handed swords or at least one-handed weapons, you can choose whether it's swords, axes, daggers, swords, axes, or daggers. I think there's one more, but I forgot. Oh, maces. Um, so you can really choose the path that you want to go. And one of the principles that I'm trying to adopt in life is the idea of compounding, and not just compounding in your finances, like in your skills, but compounding like just improvements in general. Like if I can get 1% better every day, you guys have heard about the 1% rule, where um, if you multiply something by 1% or increase something by 1% every day for a year, it'll be 37 times better a year from then. That's like a huge improvement, right? And I feel like I want to take exponential improvements in life. And in Skyrim, there's it's really nice to feel the compounding. Like for example, if you put a point in one-handed swords, your one-handed sword strikes are going to be like 10% or 20% stronger, right? Just 1 point. And I feel like that's how I'm approaching life now. I have like a skill sheet in my spreadsheets that I keep talking about it. I'm going to show you guys my spreadsheets at some point, but I'm keeping track of how much time I spend on random things in life. Like could be something professional like my drawing, or even it could be something gaming like Smash Bros, or even just like something like cooking or gardening, like some home things. I'm keeping track of the time and I'm taking data on how I live my life, and I'm using the time spent in those things as points. And I know like what's his name, that one writer popularized the 10,000 hour rule. Some people say there's some research saying that it's not really a thing. Obviously, if you spend more time on something, you're going to be really good at it. But the practice has to be deliberate, and the practice has to you have to take feedback, and you have to use scientific method where you look at the data of what you practice and you deliberately think about improvements. You can't just spend time on something and you're automatically going to be amazing at it. But if you know the method of how to improve at something, then you are going to get better. And I feel like as long as I really pay attention to what I'm doing, and I take data and I analyze that data and I try to figure out what could be better, and figure out a hypothesis and then try again, reiterate, and you repeat that over and over and over, you're going to get better at anything in life. Um, and the whole like skill points and perks thing in Skyrim makes me feel like, for example, if I'm in my art career, if I'm freelancing, I'm taking commissions. If I like spend half an hour on a commission, and then I stop working for half an hour, and then I actually sit down and take the time to think, or even just to rest my mind and allow my mind to absorb what might what happened, and I think about like what is the thing I could do better. Like I need to color faster. My anatomy's off. There's like certain part of anatomy like hands or torso that I need to improve on. It's like I can choose what path to take as far as my drawing skill. I can choose to focus on a specific thing that I want to improve. And if I can improve that thing 1% in the day, that's like a huge increase. There's I've been listening to the Huberman Lab podcast where he talks about improving at things, and he talks about how when if you're going to improve in a skill, iteration and repetition are really important. And what the most important thing he said for improving at any skill is uh, time the time spent between repetitions. Like if there's a lot of repetitions in a short amount of time. Oh yeah, so repetitions per unit time. So if you repeat something and then you take the data and you try to improve at it, and you increase the speed of that feedback loop. Like let's say I draw something and I practice drawing for like 3 minutes, and then I take time and then try again, iterate it again. As long as I try to make some kind of improvement, obviously you want to take time to draw, but speed is something I really want to increase into. I want to increase like the amount of value I get from a short time of practice. So yeah, it's Skyrim that is teaching me these things. So I feel like playing a lot of Skyrim has really helped me figure out how I want to play life. That's just one thing about Skyrim, just the skill tree. There's all sorts of things about Skyrim that have taught me like life lessons, and maybe I'll make more videos about them in the future. Like I can talk about living as a moral person and how gaining more resources and agency and power in your life kind of allows you to give into temptation more often. Like the more ability you have, the more things you can get away with. That's like something you learn from Skyrim. Like when you're kind of a scaredy cat in the very beginning of Skyrim. You don't want to steal from anyone. You don't want to get in any fights because you're so weak. But as you get stronger, you might start thinking, "Oh, I can get away with stealing this. Oh, I can get away with getting in a fight because I'm stronger." And what's really interesting at the end game of Skyrim is that once you get really, really strong, you have all these powers, and you feel tempted. I want to be like a criminal, or I can get away with murder now. I can get away with massacring all these people, and I feel like that they mean nothing to me or whatever. And it's a really interesting thing that happens, and I feel like it probably happens, in real life. They say power corrupts absolutely, or absolute power corrupts absolutely. Um, and they say that the more money you get, the more tempted you are to like buy things like maybe drugs or like um, you know, sexual encounters or something. Like you just the temptation of or like exploiting your workers if you own like a big business. It's really interesting because I can feel it in Skyrim, and it's given me some practice. And that if I do ever get like famous or have a very successful business or rich or something, that I have to still try hard to be a moral person, even if I know I can get away with things. So that's like another thing about Skyrim that's really interesting. Also, like traveling around the map. I'm playing survival mode only in Skyrim, so you have to take into account your food and your sleep and all that. So it's really teaching me a lot of life lessons. Um, and I've because of Skyrim and getting older in general, I've been more interested in games like Dungeons and Dragons and playing something like that. So yeah, I mostly wanted to talk about the skill tree and how that's affected my life. I am going to show you guys my skill tree on my spreadsheets that I always talk about later. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll talk to you soon. I do want to make a lot more videos and just share with you my life. Peace out. Bye bye.